Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today?
Good.
How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. They'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have
arrived. To demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio. Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. To those of you here in the United States of America, happy 4th of July. Let's get on with today. It's the 4th of July. As I just stated, we have a new moon sign, which is Libra. That transition took place at 4:43 a.m. And we don't have any aspects that are taking place over the course of this day. We had one aspect that took place at 3:03 a.m. Pacific time between our sun sign Cancer and our moon sign, which at that time was a transitioning sign between Virgo and Libra. And that was transformation that's taking place because the Sun and the Pluto were opposite each other. And so there's a transition taking place, a balancing between these two ideas, between the ideas of the Sun sign, Cancer, and the transformation that's going on. And those two things are balancing each other out. The emotions and the feelings, and then, of course, deep transformation with Pluto, stuff that's buried deep, kind of like buried deep under the water or buried deep out in sea, in space. So the idea of something buried deep coming to the surface. So something's bubbling underneath the surface. Something's there that's going to eventually make its way out as we evolve. And we've got this Libra air, which is the sign. So today we're dealing with water and air. Same thing tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to have a busy day between Libra having a number of different aspects. An aspect it has with Pluto, an aspect with Venus, an aspect with Uranus, and an aspect with Mars. So Libra is going to be quite busy over the course of this weekend dealing with all of those different energies. And then on Sunday, it's an aspect to Mercury, and Jupiter gets in the mix. And then we change signs to Scorpio. So lots going on with the Libra, the balancing karmic energies, the air that we express. So just pay attention as we can to all those different things going on. I have here for us a chart that just shows this is the current alignments. So we can kind of see where everything is as of today. We got Sun's in Cancer, Moon's in Libra, Mercury's in Gemini. We have Venus is in Gemini, Mars is in Libra, Jupiter's in Cancer, Saturn's in Scorpio, Uranus is in Aries, Neptune is in Pisces retrograde, and Pluto is also retrograde in Capricorn. So if you look over all of these, it just kind of keeps you refreshed about where we are at the present moment. It's always a good thing to know where we are. That way we can know where we are going. Alright, moving along, our numerology for today is number 9. The way we got to it is 7 plus 4 plus the year 2014. That's an 18. 1 plus 8 equals 9. The process is called Theosophic subtraction. That's right. So number 9 is the number of the Hermit. That is our numerology today. Number 9 is the final number. That's a single number, then it moves into the double numbers. So there's something that happens there. It's referred to as the union of opposites, is one of the numbers, or one of the phrases associated with the number 9, because we're bringing the opposites together. We're coming to the end of a cycle. Remember, the number 9 is the hermit who holds the lantern up high. We've just come out of this phase of Virgo, but we're still dealing with the same idea as the numerology that we have for today in that regards. Also, for here in America, while we're on numerology, we have the numerology of United States of America, 2 plus 3 plus 8. And what we have here is a 4. Okay? 4. 2 plus 3 plus 8 is a 13. 13 is a number of death, transformation. It's a tarot card of death. So then it reduces down to number 4. 1 plus 3 equals 4. So today, as far as America goes, America's dealing with the age 238, dealing with the idea of 4, putting things back in order, because things have been broken for quite some time. Things have been broken for quite some time. Okay, so let me see here. Let's move on from the numerology here. Let's look at the placement of where things are. Pretty much the same as they were yesterday. Here's our sun sign, Cancer. Here we have Libra, taking us back to the heart. And here we have the numerology of number 9 right here. Okay. Today we're going to look at the card of Justice, which is representing Libra, our moon sign at the present time. Okay, this key is the center of the tarot pack. It stands for equilibrium, balance, etc. Symbolized by the title and the scales. These also symbolize the Hindu doctrine of karma, which literally means action or work. It manifests itself in the form as a law of undeviating justice. This doctrine is expressed in the Judeo-Christian dictum, as a man soweth, so shall he also reap. In physics, it stands that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. It is the entire appearance of cause and effect. The two curtains, suggesting duality, represent balance in their symmetrical arrangement. The throne repeats the pillar and veils symbolism of key 2. The circle and the square on the front of the throne refer to the movement of spirit, which within material forms. The sword represents discrimination, which is closely tied with the idea of justice. Key 11 is the agency through which all forces, represented by keys 1 through 10, are transferred to the manifesting powers, represented by keys 12 to 21. This cryptic statement deserves a great deal of thought upon your part. You'll be well rewarded for your effort. So, understanding about key 11, where its placement is, that it represents keys 1 through 10, and then also 12 through 21. So it truly is a middle position that has a lot going on. The Hebrew letter Lamed. It's number 11. Hebrew letter Lamed, meaning ox goad, things which connect things together. Okay. Current moon phase is a waxing moon. 42% of the way full, making our way up to the full moon. This week it says watch out to watch fireworks as you're waiting for twilight to end. Spot the moon in the west-southwest with Mars and Spica off to its left, as shown here. High above them all shines bright Arcturus. Okay, so Ceres and Vesta appear just 1/6 apart this evening and tomorrow. Okay, so here we are. That's what we're looking at, July 4th. We're going to see our moon. Virgo above this here. Spica. All right. So that's what we're looking at when we look out at the sky tonight. Today's a 13-tone day, or a cosmic day, on the dream spell, which means it's the end of a cycle. Beginning of a new cycle starts tomorrow. Today's the hand, all about accomplishment. So we've taken our vision and we've gone all the distance with this theme of vision, and now we're going to take that vision out into the world with our sense of accomplishment. Use our hands to create, to build. Spaceweather.com, solar wind 314.5 kilometers per second. Planetary K index is quiet. We're in the 2 range. Chronal holes, nothing really. We have this one moving across but not pointing our direction. This one is away from us as well. M-class flare possibility is up to 60% from 50 where it was yesterday. X-class is up 5 more percent. It's now at 10. And geomagnetic storm activity is pretty much stationary where it was the other day. 15% in the high latitudes, 5% in the mid latitudes. And over on the Jewish calendar, Today would be 6 Tammuz. Our daily thought is, as the entirety of the sun is reflected in every glistening droplet of water, so is the entirety of the life reflected in your individual lifetime. And each of the 4 years you pass through the entirety of your life. And in every year of your life you are born, you live your life and pass on from this world. All of this life is found in your hands today. And of course, what an interesting synchronicity that says all of our life is found in our hands today. And what is today on the dream spell? The hand. The blue hand is the theme for today that we're dealing with, okay? Or the energy of the day, finishing out the theme of vision. So it all ties in one way or another. If we really take a look at what's happening on each and every day, we do find that there's a lot of synchronicities going on. All right, UFO news is up next. Let's get to it.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk. Thank you very much. Today's UFO news starts off with a sighting that took place in Pennsylvania on 30th of June, just a couple days ago. Okay, there's an object in question. It says, my granddaughter and I were sitting outside when we saw this. She captured it on her Windows 8 phone. Okay. So there we go. Nice red object in the sky. Okay. And then here we have another one. This was the one 57 seconds. You could see there's a news release here, so it did make the news. Same sighting we're looking at. Okay. There you go. All right. Next, ancient structures found in the moon. This is Scott Waring. This was discovered by StreetCap1 of YouTube, and we can see a toppled over structure of long ago. The two right angles are perfectly placed side by side, which is proof that it was made by intelligent beings. Those looking for this link will find it halfway down the photo. Please note I have turned the object 180 degrees as the angle better illustrates the nature of the construction. Okay, it's a 1 minute 9 second video. Let's see here, and there's what we're looking at. Okay, you notice something interesting there about those. They definitely look like they're a bit more manufactured. Okay, let me just zip forward here. Alright, there you go. I'm going to leave the link available as always. Check it out. Next, multiple UFOs in the skies over Dublin, Ireland on the 1st. Here we have 3 that are up there in the sky. This is footage of multiple UFOs recorded in the daytime sky above Ireland. Ireland. Okay, there we go. It's very faint up there, but I know that when you enlarge the screen, you definitely see it better. It's right here in the middle. You can see there's a couple of them there. Okay, links available. Next, we're going to go over Guadalajara. UFO fleet over Mexico appear to be under intelligent control. Your first thought while you watch this video might be that these might be little lanterns that are Chinese lanterns, but these lights might be Chinese lanterns, but after watching for a few moments, there seems a sort of intelligent control to the movements. UFOs captured on film over Guadalajara on the 1st. Okay, we have 4 objects right there. Chinese lanterns don't move like that. I know that we're supposed to believe that so that we don't, don't get caught up in this craziness about the flying saucers. But come on now. We're not stupid. There's no Chinese lanterns there. Alright, it's a 4 minute 23 second video. You can see the UFOs over at Guadalajara. Next we have which states have the most UFO sightings? One of the America's foremost UFO reporting agency provided figures about which state is the best at spotting UFOs. Here are the results. The Newfork has been in operation since 1974. So that's the National UFO Reporting Center. But its database goes back much further. The oldest records is from 1561 German cylindrical woodcut. The submission notes, I would like to think that Hans Glasser, the woodcutter, had better things to do than spend months on a wood carving that was too ugly to sell if it weren't intended as a star map of UFO sighting. The Newfork database includes more or less monthly records from every month for the past 50 years. The internet has either made UFOs more common or it's made it easier to gather data. Sightings rarely hit 100 per month in the 20th century, but people are now submitting more than 500 sightings a month. Okay, and here's a map of UFO sightings per 10,000 people in each state. It says Arizona and New Mexico surprisingly report more than their share of UFOs. Would-be alien spotters in both states are probably influenced by the lore of Roswell, where the UFO allegedly crashed in '47. What's more surprising is the Nevada home of Area 51 doesn't report many sightings. Other than Arizona and New Mexico, the trend is pretty clear. Northern states spot the most UFOs, and the deep south spots the fewest. Okay, you can click on this, get a little more insight. I'm continuing on. It says the body analysis of Sverdlovsk alien. The alien remains and spacecraft-like object found in Sverdlovsk, Russia. Sverdlovsk, Russia is one of the best evidence that indicates that aliens have been visiting Earth for a very long time now, and Russia does not deny it. Flying lightning balls were reported loitering above the skies above Siberia on the 27th of November, 1968, and that one of them crashed near a region in Sverdlovsk. After the confirmation of the crash, the Central Intelligence Agency of Russia, the KGB, formed Operation Sverdlovsk Midget, or Operation Small Alien, to hold and secure the crash site. Air Defense Commander Lieutenant General A.G. Ponomarenko assisted the initial investigation and shipment of the alien body and the wrecked debris. The unidentified dish-shaped object found in the wreckage measured 3 meters thick, 5 meters wide. Inside the object was a dead, small humanoid creature, an alleged primate that the UFO hit when it crashed. Meanwhile, the autopsy report revealed a different thing, as were the findings of the humanoid body, resembled no characteristics similar to any primates of Russia in the entire planet. The only part of the alien was its torso, one of its arms. The wreckage was already hanging for 2 days before the authorities arrived. In theory, scavengers like wolves had gotten to the wreckage first and ate the missing body parts. Reconstruction of the creature in a CGI model showed that its physical attributes were similar to typical gray alien, the most famous alien race known for visiting the Earth. A death certificate for the extraterrestrial body issued on the 24th of March, 1969, signed by the Dr. Gordenko, Kemshoy, and Savitsky, is one of the pieces of evidence and supplements the authenticity of the Sverdlovsk alien. Substantial information all over the internet about this incident is easily accessible for research. Here we have a 3-minute 31-second video which kind of gets into the discussion about this, and you can see some of the autopsy that took place of this creature they thought was a primitive, and then realized, nope, not a primitive, not like anyone we know. Okay, and of course they want to compare it to that, but no dice. Okay, and the video is available for you to check it out. And here, one last piece. This has to do with the Roswell crash. You all know about the Roswell incident by now. Well, this is the site of the Roswell Museum. Goes on to say, an unidentified flying object crashed on a ranch northwest of Roswell, New Mexico, sometime during the first week of July 1947. Rancher W.W. MacBrazel said later he found debris in the crash as he and his son Floyd and Loretta Proctor rode their horses on to check the sheep after a fierce thunderstorm the night before. Brazel said that as they rode along, he began to notice unusual pieces of what seemed to be metal debris scattered over a large area. Upon further inspection, he said he saw a shallow trench several hundred feet long had been gorged into the ground. Brazel said he was struck by the unusual proportions of the properties of the debris, and after dragging large pieces of it to a shed, he took some of it over to the proctors. This proctor, who later removed to the ranch, from the ranch to a house closer to town, said she remembered Brazel showing up with strange material. The proctors told Brazel he might be holding records from an alien spacecraft. A number of UFO sightings had been reported in the U.S. that summer, or a government project that should be reported, and that he should report the incident to Chavez County Sheriff George Wilcox. A day or two later, Brazel drove into Roswell, the county seat, and reported the incident to Wilcox, who reported it to Major Jesse Marcel, an intelligence officer for the 509th Bomb Group stationed at Roswell Army Airfield. In their book, A History of UFO Crashes, UFO researcher Don Schmidt and Kevin Randall say the research shows military radar had been tracking an unidentified flying object in skies over southern New Mexico for 4 days. On the night of July 4th, 1947, radar indicated the object had gone about 30 to 40 miles northwest of Roswell. The book says eyewitness William Woody, who lived east of Roswell, said he remembered being outside with his father that night when he saw a brilliant object plunge to the ground. The debris site was closed for several days while the wreckage was cleared, and Schmidt and Randall say that Woody and his father tried to locate the area of the crash. Woody said they were stopped by military personnel who ordered them to leave the area. Well, there's a lot more to this whole story here, but basically what we got, and what you should recall at this time, is there was the press release that Walter Hopp gave and then recanted shortly after that, like a day or two later, when the military came in. They said, no, you can't be putting in the press that a flying saucer crashed. So they changed it, and then when Jesse Marcel showed up at the press briefing, he had all these objects that were there that were tin foil and weather balloon parts, and he had to give that story. So anyway, you know the story of Roswell. You heard it over and over. It's a very important case here in America because it really is a big cover-up that's been going on for some time. Technology has certainly advanced since that time, since 1947. So we know that we certainly have been doing something with technology that came from somewhere. The common denominator is Roswell and the spaceship and the technology that we got in that regards. All right, that is our UFO news for today. I'll be back. Stay tuned.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
Continue on. So today is the 4th of July in America. 238 years ago, July 4th, 1776, was the day that the Declaration of Independence was signed. Today has nothing to do with the Constitution. Today was a day celebrating when the Declaration was signed. The Constitution didn't come into play until years later, okay, after the Declaration was signed. So this Declaration is very important. We live in a time when it's important that Americans remember what this Declaration is about, because this Declaration was signed by men who were escaping tyranny, tyranny within their own country, tyranny that they no longer wanted to have. So they left that country and came to the United States of America. I'm going to read through some of this declaration here. And as you listen to this, I want you to listen to this. Really hear what this is about. And as you listen to it, what I know you're going to hear is that the injustices that the Founding Fathers disliked, the reasons that they separated from their government, you will see all of those same reasons and many, many more going on right now. Our Founding Fathers would not put up with a fraction of what we're putting up with at this point in time. But for some reason, we are. And I don't know why. We've gone a long way from the days of the Founding Fathers. I hope that we can get back to that. I hope that we as Americans can really step away from all of the things that are keeping us uninterested in the process of our growth and find a way to really move forward. Does this mean spending every day in the Declaration and every day? No. It means being aware about your country and the lies that are being told, and understanding that there's a time when a person has to stand up, when a country needs to stand up, when the people need to stand up. There's never been more of a time than there is right now. The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. And whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to effect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right and it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such it is now the necessity which constitutes them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. Now, as I go through this next section here, I want you to imagine, instead of the King of England, I want you to imagine the President of the United States right now. He has refused to assent to laws, a most wholesome and necessary for public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained, and when so suspended he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He has refused to pass the laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the rights of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of the public records, and for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with the manly firmness of invasions on the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time after such dissolutions to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. He has endeavored to prevent the population of the states for that purpose, obstructing the laws of naturalism and foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migration habits, and raising the conditions of the new appropriations of the land. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing to assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount of payment of their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and to eat out their substance. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of the legislatures. He has effected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to the acts of pretend legislation, for quartering the bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murderers which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off the trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury, for disporting us beyond the seas to be tried for pretend offenses, for abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and establishing and introducing the absolute rule into the colonies, for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our government, for suspending our own legislators and declaring themselves invested with the power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burned our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is, at this time, transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny already begun with the circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages and totally unworthy of the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens to take captive on the high seas, to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections among us, and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers. The merciless Indian savages, whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of ages, sexes, and conditions. In every stage these oppressions we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been unanswered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of the people. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts to their legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our immigration and settlement here. We have appealed to the native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations which inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and of consanguinity. We must therefore acquiesce to the necessity which denounces our separation, and hold them, as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace friends. We therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name, by the authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right, ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the states of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. And then here we have all the names. Now, every single one of those points that I read, we can see that this administration has violated. Not only this administration, but if we go back, it's gotten worse and worse and worse over the years. Why we as Americans are standing for this and tolerating this, I don't know. But it seems that accepting the liars in our political office is something that we've grown accustomed to doing for far too long. For far, far, far too long. Isn't it time that we make a change? How much longer are we going to let this go? How many more presidents are we going to have come into office and destroy the country that we so love so dearly? It's up to us, my friends. I know that the system is rigged against the people, but the people are not powerless because there's millions of more people than there are in office. And so when the people stand up and flex their muscle, there's nothing that they're going to be able to do to stop that. They're going to need to listen to the people, and that's what is required at this point in time. Otherwise, they're just going to lead us to another war, and more violence, and more murder, and more lies. And that's not a road that I want to go on, and that's not a road that you want to go on, and most of the people in this country don't want to go on. We can change it. We have to change it. Okay. Happy 4th of July. Now we're going to move on. We're going to look at some other things. This is continuing on with Jesus, and this is from the Urantia book. This is the 2 Crucial Years, paper 126. Of all Jesus' earth life experiences, the 14th and 15 years were the most crucial. These 2 years, after he began to be self-conscious of divinity and destiny, and therefore be achieved a large measure of communication with his indwelling adjuster, were the most trying of his eventual life on Urantia. It is this period of 2 years which should be called the great test, the real temptation. No human youth, in passing through the early confusions and adjustment problems of adolescence, ever experienced a more crucial testing than that which Jesus passed through during his transition from childhood to young manhood. This important period in Jesus' youthful development began with the conclusion of the Jerusalem visit and with his return to Nazareth. At first, Mary was happy in the thought that she had her boy back once more, that Jesus had returned home to be a dutiful son, not that he was anything else, but that he would henceforth be more responsive to her plans for his future life. But she was not for long to bask in the sunshine of material delusion and unrecognized family pride. Very soon, she was to be more completely disillusioned. More and more the boy was in the company of his father, less and less did he come to her with his problems, while increasingly both his parents failed to comprehend his frequent alternation between the affairs of the world and the contemplation of his relation to his father's business. Frankly, they did not understand him, but they did truly love him. As he grew older, Jesus' pity and love for the Jewish people deepened, but with the passing years there developed in his mind a growing righteous resentment of the presence in the Father's temple of the politically appointed priests. Jesus had great respect for the sincere Pharisees and the honest scribes, but he held the hypocritical Pharisees and the dishonest theologians in great contempt. He looked with disdain upon all those religious leaders who were not sincere. When he scrutinized the leadership of Israel, he was sometimes tempted to look with favor on the possibility of his becoming the Messiah of Jewish expectation, but he never yielded to such a temptation. The story of his exploits among the wise men at the temple in Jerusalem was gratifying to all Nazareth, especially to his former teachers in the synagogue school. For a time, his praise was on everybody's lips. At the village, all the village recounted his childhood wisdom and praiseworthy conduct, and predicted that he was destined to become a great leader in Israel. At last, a really great teacher was to come out of Nazareth in Galilee, and all looked forward to the time when he would be 15 years of age so that he might be permitted regularly to read the scriptures in the synagogue on the Sabbath day. 14th year. This is the calendar year of his 14th birthday. He had become a good yoke maker and had worked well with both canvas and leather. He was also rapidly developing into an expert carpenter and cabinet maker. This summer he made frequent trips to the top of the hill to the northwest of Nazareth for prayer and meditation. He was gradually becoming more self-conscious of the nature of his bestowal on earth. This hill, a little more than 100 years previously, had been the high place of Baal, and now it was the site of the tomb of Simeon, a reputed holy man of Israel. From the summit of the hill of Simeon, Jesus looked out over Nazareth and the surrounding country. He would gaze upon Megiddo and recall the story of the Egyptian army winning its first great victory in Asia, and how later on another such army defeated the Judean king Josiah. Not far away he could look upon Tanakh, or Deborah and Barak defeated Sisera. In the distance he could view the hills of Dothan, where he had been taught Joseph's brethren sold him into Egyptian slavery. He would then shift his gaze over to Ebal and Gerizim and recount to himself the traditions of Abraham, Jacob, and Abimelech. And thus he recalled and returned over in his mind the history and traditional events of his father Joseph's people. He continued to carry on his advanced courses of reading under the synagogue teachers, and he also continued with the home education of his brothers and sisters as they grew up to suitable ages. Early this year, Joseph arranged to set aside the income of from his Nazareth and Capernaum property to pay for Jesus' long course of study at Jerusalem, it having been planned that he should go to Jerusalem in August of the following year, when he would be 15 years of age. At the beginning of this year, both Joseph and Mary entertained frequent doubts about the destiny of their firstborn son. He was indeed a brilliant and lovable child, but he was so difficult to understand and so hard to fathom, and again, nothing extraordinary or miraculous ever happened. Scores of times had his proud mother stood in breathless anticipation, expecting to see her son engage in some superhuman or miraculous performance, but always were her hopes dashed down in cruel disappointment. And all this was discouraging, even disheartening. Devout people of those days truly believed that prophets and men of promise always demonstrated their calling and established their divine authority by performing miracles and working wonders. But Jesus did nothing of these things, wherefore was the confusion of his parents steadily increased as they contemplated his future. The improved economic condition of Nazareth family was reflected in many ways about the home, and especially in the increased number of smooth white boards which were used as writing slates, the writing being done with charcoal. Jesus was also permitted to resume his music lessons. He was very fond of playing the harp. Throughout this year it can be truly said that Jesus grew in favor with man and with God. The prospects of the family seemed good. The future was bright. All this did go well until the fateful day of December 25th, when a runner from Saffrons brought to this Nazareth home the tragic news that Joseph had been severely injured by falling from a derrick while at work on the governor's residence. The messenger from Cephanus had stopped at the shop on the way to Joseph's home, informing Jesus of his father's accident, and they went together to the house to break the sad news to Mary. Jesus desired to go immediately to his father. Mary would not hear anything of it, but that she must hasten to her husband's side. She directed that James, then 10 years of age, should accompany her to Sepphoris, while Jesus remained home with the younger children until she returned, as she did not know how severely Joseph had been injured. But Joseph died of his injuries before Mary arrived. They brought him to Nazareth, and on the following day he was laid to rest with his fathers. Just at this time, when the prospects were good and the future looked bright, an apparently cruel hand had struck down the head of this Nazareth household. The affairs of the home were disrupted, and every plan for Jesus and his future education was demolished. This carpenter lad, now just past 14 years of age, awakened to the realization that he had not only to fulfill the commission of his heavenly Father to reveal the divine nature on earth and in the flesh, but that his young human nature must also shoulder the responsibility of caring for his widowed mother and 7 brothers and sisters, and another yet to be born. This lad of Nazareth now became the sole support and comfort and this so suddenly bereaved family. Thus were permitted these occurrences of the natural order of events on Urantia, which would force this young man of destiny so early to assume these heavy but highly educational and disciplinary responsibilities attendant upon becoming the head of the human family, of becoming father to his own brothers and sisters, of supporting and protecting his mother, of functioning as guardian of his father's house, the only home he was to know while on this world. Jesus cheerfully accepted the responsibilities so suddenly thrust upon him, and he carried them faithfully to the end. At least one great problem and anticipated difficulty in his life had been tragically solved. He would not now be expected to go to Jerusalem to study under the rabbis. It remained always true that Jesus sat at no man's feet. He was ever willing to learn from even the humblest of little children, but he never derived authority to teach the truth from human sources. Still, he knew nothing of Gabriel's visit to his mother before his birth. He only learned from his John on the day of his baptism at the beginning of his public ministry. And as the years passed, this young carpenter of Nazareth increasingly measured every instruction of society, every institution of society, and every usage of religion by the unvarying test. What does it do for the human soul? Does it bring God to man? Does it bring man to God? While this youth did not wholly neglect the recreational and social aspects of life, more and more he devoted his time and energies to just two purposes: the care of his family and the preparation to do his Father's heavenly will on earth. This year it became the custom for the neighbors to drop in during the winter evenings to hear Jesus play upon the harp, to listen to his stories, for the lad was a master storyteller, and to hear him read from the Greek scriptures. The economic affairs of the family continued to run fairly smoothly, and there was quite a sum of money on hand. And at the time of Joseph's death, Jesus early demonstrated the possession of keen business judgment and financial sagacity. He was liberal but frugal. He was saving but generous. He provided to be wise and efficient administrator of his father's estate. But in spite of all of that, Jesus and the Nazareth neighbors could do to bring cheer to the home. Mary and even the children were overcast with sadness. Joseph was gone. Joseph was an unusual husband and father, and they all missed him. And it seemed all the more tragic to think that he died ere they could speak to him or hear his farewell blessing. All right, so while we hear stories in the Bible that have Jesus speaking to in the temple at age 13 and then disappearing, here we have a whole summary of Jesus at age 14, something that we don't have in the Bible. And now it's going to go on to age 15, and it's going to go on and on. So we're going to delve into this aspect of the book of Urantia on Fridays when we talk about Jesus, seeing where he came from, seeing some of that history of who he truly was, some of the history that was left out of the Bible. All right, very good. So let's move on from here. I want to bring you this article here. It's an article from In5D. It's called 16 Habits of Highly Sensitive People. So if you're one of those sensitive individuals, maybe this is something for you. Amanda Chan. Do you feel like you reflect on things more than everybody else? Do you find yourself worrying about how other people feel? Do you prefer quieter, less chaotic environments? If the above sounds true to you, you may be highly sensitive. The personality trait, which was first researched by Lane and Aaron, PhD, in the early 90s, is relatively common, with as many as 1 in 5 people possessing it. Aaron, who has written multiple studies and books on high sensitivity, including The Highly Sensitive Person, also developed a self-test. There's a link. You can take the test to help determine if you are highly sensitive. Well, recent interest in introversion, driven largely by high-profile publications on the subject, including Susan Cain's book Quest, has brought more awareness to personality traits that values less stimulation and higher sensitivity. Aaron notes that highly sensitive people still tend to be considered the minority. But minority doesn't mean bad. In fact, being highly sensitive carries a multitude of positive characteristics. Read on for some of the commonalities shared by highly sensitive people. Okay, here's 16 traits. They feel more deeply. They're more emotionally reactive. They're probably used to hearing, "Don't take things so personally," and "Why are you so sensitive?" They prefer to exercise solo. It takes longer for them to make decisions. And on that note, they are more upset if they make a bad or wrong decision. They are extremely detail-oriented. Not all highly sensitive people are introverts. They work well in team environments. They're more prone to anxiety or depression, but only if they've had a lot of past negative experiences. That annoying sound is probably signifying more annoying to a highly sensitive person. Violent movies are the worst. They cry more easily. They have above average manners. The effects of criticism are especially amplified in highly sensitive people. And cubicles equal good. Open office plans equal bad. All right, so I'm sure if you go down that list, read through each one of the points in there. I just hit the summary. I'm sure that you will find things on that list that you will see that you have in common. Because if you're listening to this show, my guess is that you already are feeling sensitive to the energies around you. Sensitive doesn't mean going out there and being an emotional wreck. Sensitive in this regard means intuitively sensitive, sensitive to what's going on. And those who are more intuitive are picking up the energies all around them. And as you pick up these energies and you feel what they are about, people that are intuitive or sensitive to these things feel them. Person that is here to bring light and love and good things to the planet, and then you put them in front of a violent movie, they're not going to understand that. It's not going to feel good to them because that's not what they're about. If we go back and think of Dolores Cannon and the 3 groups of volunteers that came through, she talks about something very similar to this, about the feelings that go on and the sensitivity that some of the different groups have and the trouble they have assimilating because there is so much problems and chaos in this world. So it's a good list, good article. Check it out. I'm going to move on here to our message for today. And today's message comes to us from Hilarion. Here we go.
Hilarion.
June 29th through July 6th, 2014, by Marlene Svetlashoff.
Beloved ones, although most of you have done the work of spiritually aligning yourselves to the higher dimensional perspective, there is still much that is coming up from your cellular memories to be acknowledged and released. It is a matter of understanding what is occurring, as that helps to more quickly allow all that surfaces to be released without becoming engaged yet again in the emotional and mental turbulence. It is like wringing out a sponge that still has a bit of moisture left in it so that it needs a few final squeezes. By now you all have an arsenal of tools and techniques that you have accumulated to help you move through with relative grace and ease. You have what it takes to get through this. If you feel you need further help, then it is necessary to find a practitioner who can give you the assistance you require. There are many people well qualified to help you through this. Ask your spiritual guides to lead you to the ones who are right for your particular circumstance. The outer world you live on is changing rapidly, although your news media would have you believe otherwise. The power struggles between leaders in many countries of the world is a sign that the system and structures that have been in place for a very long time are now in need of radical change. Many foresee that it requires a new way of looking at things and new ways of accomplishing what needs to be changed, but there are still those who stubbornly hold on to the power structures that have been established. The people of the world are no longer in ignorance of the widespread misuse of power in those who lead them and have begun to put their leaders under a microscope. The writing is on the wall for these ones: adapt and change what does not work or step aside. The rumblings are becoming louder in their spheres of influence. As with all change, it comes about through friction and resistance. What humanity needs to realize is that they must work together to address the many challenges the world they live on is presenting. It requires the input of all good and sincere people. There are those who work with the grids of the earth. There are those who have ability to bring healing and stability to various areas of the planet. There are those in the scientific community who are working on solutions to the many challenges that are required to be met. There are those in the economic sector who are endeavoring to create a more equitable economic system for all. There are those in the medical professions who need to truly meet the needs of their people instead of feeding the structures of the pharmaceutical companies. They need to allow their people to choose alternate and more natural options for their health issues. In every sector of society, there is a need to let go of self-interest and start working for the highest good of all. As these structures are realigned to a higher principle and concept of working for the highest good of all upon the planet, the beneficial outcomes for all citizens of the world will create a more stable and peaceful environment. When the basic needs of all of Earth's citizens are met and the way forward is established through transparent communication and sincere and honest cooperation between all peoples and structures of the world, then life as they have known it will truly change for the better. The element of fear and suspicion in all human hearts will be eradicated, and a more joyous and harmonious interaction between all peoples of the world will bring about tremendous and positive transformations. It behooves ones such as the light workers and others of good heart and intent who are not familiar with this term of reference, to continue to visualize, intend, and give strength and power to that which you earnestly want and desire to see manifest upon your planet. This is the focus that is asked of those who are aware and awake to the incredible opportunity that is before all of humanity in this moment of now. As the people of the world let go of all self-centered desires from within themselves and see the entirety of the world at large as part of themselves, it allows the higher aspects of their divinity to come shining through. When humanity feels the call to be of greater service to each other, this will open up a grander experience of universal proportions. Until next week. I am Hilarion.
All right, very good message from Hilarion. Before we continue on with our meditation, I got a little bit of food for thought here for you, numerological based. I want you to look at this right here. Okay, check this out. We know that today is a 9-day, right? Because we did the numerology. When we do the numerology for July 4, 1776 right here, we have a 32, which is 7 plus 4 plus 1 plus 7 plus 7 plus 6, 32, which reduces to a 5. Well, we see the numerology that has progressed to today is a 9. So from a 5 to a 9, well, it's a difference of 4. If we look at our age, 238, it's 2 plus 3 plus 8 equals 13, 1 plus 3 equals 4. So if we take the numerology of our age, 238, which is a 4, and we add that to the numerology of when we were created, which is a 5 and a 4 equal 9, which is the numerology of where we're at today as the number has progressed to this time. So numerology, when you look at it, really has a lot of significance. It ties together things. It shows us that this order that we need is important to us to be able to combine that and bring that order back into who and what we're about, so that we can be the hermit shining the lantern high. There's a lot of talk about America being an exceptional nation. Well, not anymore, we're not. I know we would like to be. I know in the past we have been, but we've slipped and we've fallen. What is exceptional about America is Americans believing that they can be the best. And that is an exceptional quality. We need to believe that we can be the best by actually being the best, by standing on our principles, by putting together and putting in order the things that are important for our lives, for our country, for the people of this country. And when we bring that order to the spirituality that this country was founded on, and we put it back together, we truly will be shining that light high, and we will be standing on that pillar of exceptionalism that we seem to desire to want to stand on. But it's up to us. It's up to us. Let's make today, this 4th of July, a day when here in America we really consider what freedom is about. And around the world, just to contemplate this idea. Because freedom is not just an American thing. It's a worldwide thing. It goes back much, much older than here. All right, that brings us to our meditation for today. So go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath and exhale. Take another deep breath and exhale again. One more. And exhale. Now I want you to contemplate where you are in the world today, what's going on with your life. And I want you to think about how order is working itself out in your life. Think about all the things that you are doing. Are they well organized? Are they put together properly? Are your thoughts together? And as things are put in order, and as you can see clearly the direction you are going, you find that your path is smoother. So we imagine ourselves in each and every country. We imagine ourselves walking into our government offices, telling the government leaders in our particular countries that their time of service has come to an end. They are no longer needed. We thank them for what they've done, and we just imagine them all disappearing off the planet, fading into nothingness. And there we are, the people of the earth. And we imagine that in each country around the world, the people of the earth now, who have taken charge of their governments, begin to put into order that which needs to be put into order. And we fix the system of injustice, and we create true justice. And we find the places where liberty has taken a dent, and we pound out the dents and smooth it out. And we find all the places where we have fallen down because of the leadership we have chosen around this world. And we stand now on our own responsibility. And we each take responsibility for making the world a better place, starting with our own environments, our own place, our own being, putting things in order that we might put in order our lives, the world, and all the things that we are about. Let's imagine sending positivity into all the actions that we are doing in this plan of rebuilding and reordering. Let us imagine how wonderful life is without any of these government leaders or officials that had been holding us down, lying to us, cheating us, stealing from us, and killing us. Let's just be grateful that they are all gone. And imagine to ourselves that they are gone. And know that when we see them, we are only seeing an echo that is fading away. For this is the time of light. This is a time when all of the darkness, the doubts, the fears dissipate and are gone. So on this day of liberty in America, freedom in America, we stand upon our own inner freedom first and foremost. And we allow the truth of God to express itself from each and every one of us. That we create this planet, this country, the countries around the world, that we create them in the way that is best for us as people of the world, free from tyranny, free from tyrants. So let's imagine this world, this happy, happy world without all of this tyranny, without the tyrants and the troublemakers and the problems and all of that. And let's just think of positive thoughts and imagine the world as a positive, loving place. And I ask you now, do you truly believe that this is possible? And do you truly accept this type of positivity in your life? And if you do, then there is nothing stopping you. There is nothing stopping us. So let us claim this responsibility for ourselves. Let us claim this power to live in prosperity and positivity. And let's claim this to be the divine expressions of the creative spirit of life that brought us into existence. So let's imagine ourselves on that road today, finding the freedoms within ourselves and taking the responsibilities and just being an example of truth, light, and love as you walk through the world. So let your subconscious mind continue on that journey, and let's bring our conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale and open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That is the show for today. As a matter of fact, that's our show for the week. Thank you so much for being here. I'm glad that you're able to tune into the show on a regular basis. It means a lot. Have a great day today. Whether you're in the United States of America or whether you're around the world, have a great day. Look, we're all in this together. And all we have to do is keep thinking positive, keep bringing the positive changes in, and watch the magic happen. Because I know that there is a great creator that is looking over all of us. And all we have to do is trust in that process. Trust God, my friends. It won't steer you wrong. And keep your feet on the right path. That's it. Have an awesome day wherever you are, whatever you're doing. I'll talk to you on Monday. I love you. Peace. I'm out of here.